Hey gang, Captain Mike Kip was in the studio with me today, and we had a great talk about the cold temperatures, some of the bite that he had going on this week with the sheephead and some of the other species that were still biting through the cold. I had a call in from Captain Mike Mann and also a call in from Captain Jeff Kranick. Had some good information on those as well. We did talk a lot about the offshore things and what's coming up. We got cobia coming up. We got potentially a red snapper season coming up. So hopefully you guys and gals will enjoy today's segment of Catch Your Memory Outdoors.
Cocoa, Melbourne, Titusville, 1510 AM, as well as W234BI, Cocoa, Rockledge, and W264AS, Rockledge, Melbourne, Palm Bay, and 100.7 FM.
Well, good morning, everybody, and hopefully you like the new intro music that we just came up with. My good buddy Jody kind of likes to pick on a guitar once in a while, and he made some new music for the show. So if you weren't recognizing that and you're like, well, what's this? It's not my normal Catch a Memory that I've been hearing for the last 15 years. Well, that's why, gang. We got some new show music, just trying to diversify a little bit, change some things up, make it a little fresh, and keep you guys and gals interested in Catch a Memory Outdoors out there. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and if you guys and gals are just joining the show, we appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here from 7 to 9 a.m. And remember, if you don't get the live show, you can always go back and watch us for 30 days on the Facebook live feed, or you can go to the WWBC website or catchamemoryoutdoors.com, click on that archive tab, and you can pick up the shows there. I've got Captain Mike Kip back in the studio this morning, buddy. It's been a little chilly this week, but you got out and got some really nice fish.
Yep. Got some sheepshead on some rock piles in the river, getting out of the wind, but it was still cold.
So you had some guys yesterday, that were going, hey, we want to go offshore.
Yep.
And, of course,
Mother Nature had other plans.
Yeah, she decided you weren't going to do that. So, man, there's always a backup plan. Yep. There's always somewhere. Well, there's not always, but there's usually somewhere that you can go hide. And you found a great place to hide up around the Ponce Inlet area yesterday. Now, before we go any farther, water temperatures have been cold. Yep. We've had a lot of fish kills, mainly snook, some trout, and unfortunately the trout have been large breeder-sized speckled trout. And occasional ladyfish, catfish, redfish here and there as well. But overall, the fishery around the Ponce Inlet area, that's sort of the northern, what has become the northern range of snook.
Right.
Yes, I know they're going all the way to Jacksonville. Yes, but I think those are anomaly fish. I mean, the main bodies that you can consistently fish most of the year, I would consider to be from the Daytona area, Daytona, New Smyrna, Ponce Inlet area, and south. How do you think that the overall population of snook managed in this cold?
I'm hoping that some of the big breeders still made it through, but there was a lot of small snook, and we did have a lot of small trout as well. We saw yesterday.
You did see small trout.
Yeah.
Okay, I know the first indicators that we saw in the Mosquito Lagoon, Northern Indian River, Banana River complexes were a lot of the breeder-sized fish. They floated first. And unfortunately, we lost some good ones. And, when you think about fish, when you think about speckled trout that are 27, 28, 30 inches, and those fish are 15 to 20 years old, it's going to take 20 years for those fish to basically be replaced,
right?
Unfortunately. And so we're unhappy about that because the lagoon has been on a recovery for especially the past 2 years, but it's really been on a recovery for about 4. But the past 2, it's really showed signs of coming back to at least a little bit of what its former glory was.
Right.
With the seagrasses starting to come back in places, the water clarity being a little better in places. And it's due to much in part the amount of money that's being poured into fixing the things that were creating the problems with the mosquito and Indian River lagoons. There are some things that we cannot fix. There are some things that just cannot be fixed. The management of growth has been non-existent, in the central and north part of the lagoon. And with growth comes problems because they have to figure out a way to get the water that used to lay on vacant land or on unbuilt land. They have to figure out a way not to flood houses and things of that nature. And unfortunately, the Indian River Lagoon system has become, that dumping ground. And unfortunately, as that fresh water enters our saltwater lagoon system, it also dilutes the water and carries all of the nutrients and potential toxins with it. Brake dust from cars, oil, transmission fluid, all the things that drip off of a car, the tire compounds, all the little pieces of rubber, all the pieces of plastic and things like that happen to fall out onto the cement, all get washed into the lagoon. And unfortunately, it becomes the dumping ground for the end of the line for many of those contaminants. But a lot of those things have been retrofitted because of the half-cent sales tax. A lot of those things have been actually moved, diverted, run into settling ponds before that settling pond then overflows and goes into the river. So trying to mitigate as best we can with the amount of build out that we have here in the central part of the state has been a huge challenge. And that half-cent sales tax is what has gone to pay for much of it. The other side of that is the stuff that's already in the lagoon, the muck that's in there. Once again, without the millions of dollars of half-cent sales tax that Brevard County has put forward, all that muck would still be there. And we'll talk a little bit about the muck later because I had a really interesting charter the other day with some guys that are working on ways to mitigate some of the nitrogens, phosphoruses, and things that keep getting put back into the water system from the muck in areas that have been dredged and areas that haven't. But, going back to those fish, our fish have been on a recovery. We're seeing better numbers of redfish. We're seeing better numbers of trout, better numbers of snook overall. And so this freeze obviously is a huge setback for all of that. But up in your area, you don't really have the muck situation and the non-tidal flow situation that we have in the northern and central part of the Indian River Lagoon system. You guys have got plenty of flow. So flow is not the issue up there. It's still the cold has done the damage.
Right.
So going back to you've lost small trout, you've lost small snook. Just between, where did you launch from yesterday?
I was at the marina.
Okay, so you came out of the marina there. You came down through the central part of the inlet.
Yeah, I come from the north area, but boondocks.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the north,
just
okay.
south of Dunlawn.
So you come down
And I head
down the channel
south,
and then out. So you've got a 4 mile?
Give or take, yeah. Depending on if it's low tide and I can take the cut by Tata Island or not. But
Right. 4 mile stretch of water. And you did see a considerable amount of...
yeah, more on this going towards the Smyrna side because rounded the Coast Guard station and headed back going south towards New Smyrna. And, that's right. The north end of the lagoon dumps out right there at Edgewater. So the tidal flowed from there coming outgoing and then
Right.
tide switch coming to incoming.
So areas like where Calalisa Creek comes in and
Yep.
things like that, that's where you were seeing more? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So fish that maybe were up in the shallows, didn't get out of the shallows, and then died and now are getting flushed out
Right.
by the tide. Have you been anywhere towards the North Bridge or South Bridge at New Smyrna?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you didn't get that far up into the river system. I was talking with Billy Pettigrew actually Thursday, I think it was, and he was fishing somewhere around there, and he said, "Yeah," he goes, "I'm seeing some cold stunned fish, a couple of turtles." He said, "But fortunately, the redfish were still fairly happy. In fact, he was hooked up to one right when I called him. So it sounds like some of those fish made it through, didn't have any problems with it, and obviously the fish that you caught yesterday didn't have any problem with it at all because you caught some studs yesterday."
Yeah, I caught the the boat record was 21 1/4 inches for my sheepshead, and the client yesterday beat it by 3/4 of an inch, 22-inch sheepshead, which was I at first thought was like, oh, that's a big black drum, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's not. That's a sheepshead.
That's awesome. That is awesome. 22-inch sheephead. What did that thing weigh? It had to be 10 pounds. Or close.
I didn't put it on a scale. We were too excited just taking pictures, and they were happy to eat it. So they fish sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that's awesome, though. That is absolutely awesome. 22-inch. That's a big one. So just by comparison, my last trip that I went and tried to catch some sheephead, mine were all 8.5 to 11 inches.
Yeah, we threw a lot of those back. A lot of those back.
I couldn't find a legal one. I had more sand fleas than you can shake a stick at, Yep. And I was even crunching and chumming, just crunching them in the bucket and chumming them out there. And I was like, I'm going to get them firing. No,
That's expensive.
I got them firing, but they were all that big, little dinky things.
Expensive chum with sand fleas.
Well, a beast trying to chum with filler crabs.
Yeah, that's true.
You got big money if you're chumming, filler crab chumming. But yeah, so just really, really interesting the way that the fish did respond to you yesterday, even though the conditions weren't ideal.
Yeah, 51 degrees water temp at the marina, and as I got closer towards the inlet and then headed back towards Smyrna, south towards Smyrna, I got to like 53 and a half. That was my temperature on my sounder.
So I had to have some trailer work done on Thursday, and I put my boat in the Titusville Marina. Oh, big shout out, by the way, to Jesse and the ladies at Titusville Marina. They had a slip ready for me. It was super easy to get the boat off the trailer, get it into the slip, go get the trailer worked on, because I had a weld that broke, so I had to get that rewelded. And my buddy Kerry Ide at Southern Airboat and Welding tightened it up and beefed it up. Actually, put some extra bracing in there, which was really nice of him to do. So if you guys need any welding, check out Kerry's shop up in Mims, Southern Airboat and Welding. You can find him probably on Facebook or on the web. But he did a great job tightening that thing up for me. And so anyway, shout out to both of those two. But I got it back, and I'm putting it back on the trailer. And as I'm getting ready to put it back on the trailer, guy says to me, he's like, "Hey, do you know what snook eat?" And I said, "The water temp's 51 degrees. They're probably not going to eat anything right now." And because he's standing on the dock. And of course, he's got the sliding sinker egg rig with the black coated steel on and the silver, 5/0 hook on the end of it. And it's about a 1 ounce weight with the 2 red beads, right? It's your typical Guggen rig, if you will. He's standing there and he's got it on like this little $29.95 combo pole and reel unit with like bright red line. And I pulled up there and I went to myself, oh, he's not catching anything but catfish. And so he says, "Do you know what snook eat?" And I said, "Well, they're probably not going to eat." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I've been standing here watching these fish, and they're just kind of slowly circling around the end of the dock underneath it and coming back out. But there's about 8 or 9 of them here, and they're all about, yay long." And he puts his hands up to show me they're like 24, 25-inch fish, And I said, "Well, your best bet, if you're going to get those fish to eat, is cut that rig off of there and put just a single hook on the end of it, and don't hook that shrimp right in the center so that it's drooped over the hook.
Natural as possible.
I said, take it and hook it right in I said, go with a smaller hook, first of all, and hook it in the tail and just let it swim around all by itself. I said, and don't stand on that dock. If they're circling that dock and you're standing on that dock, you're not catching that fish. Nope. Go to the next dock over and cast over to, on the finger piers at the marina, or at the boat ramp. I said, cast back over to where the snook are and just let the shrimp swim around. Really? I don't need any weight? I'm like, no, and you don't need that steel on there either, unless you're shark fishing.
Right.
So, long story short, he says, thanks. And he goes to cutting and, changing his rig up. And I thought to myself, you know what? I need to go look around and just see what's going on. So I took the boat for a little 20, 25-minute spin around the north end of the Indian River and checked some of the little back bays that are off on the east side, by Gator Creek, Catfish Creek. Checked the bridges, And I didn't really see anything floating around in that area. And so I was kind of interested that I was expecting to see something because I saw a ladyfish and a catfish floating inside of the marina. But I didn't see anything out on the flats. And like you said, the water temperature was anywhere from about 51.6 to the highest I got was on the south side of Brock's Flat. It was in the open water, it was about 56.7. And then I came back around, went north of the Parish Park boat ramp, and I went back against the east shore, up against those little coves and things that are back in there between the Parish Park and the railroad bridge. And I kind of got on the trolling motor and just eased around in there. Once again, I didn't see anything back in there, but at 57.2 degrees, there was a pod of mullet that was holding in that warmest water that I found. And I did kick up probably what was a one big redfish. I couldn't get close enough to it to see if it was a red or a black drum. And I was kind of buzzing on the trolling motor. I didn't even have a rod with me, so I wasn't fishing. I was just looking. But fortunately, I didn't see any fish dead. And so I thought to myself, well, that's good, because there's plenty of dead fish in other areas that I know about. You know, I've talked to quite a few guys and seen down to the south even, around Merritt Island and the Cocoa Beach canals where there was some dead fish. So anyway, we are dealing with Mother Nature's, ability to kill things that we don't want killed.
Right.
But fortunately, I think that we didn't get I don't think we got it as bad as we could have gotten it.
Right.
So that is a bonus. But I tell you what, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk some sheephead fishing with Mike and see how you catch those 22 inchers so that you guys can get out there and do it, right?
Absolutely. Catch them in the water.
Fingers crossed. And we got a whole lot more, so don't go away. Catch Your Memories coming right back after this message. Assassin, the most trusted name in bass fishing lures, is now the top soft plastic lure brand for saltwater. Sea trout, tarpon, redfish, and snook hammer the Saltwater Assassin 4-inch sea shad. With its amazing swimming action, this lure sets the bar for swim bait designs. Other companies continue to try, but none have been able to replicate the action of this incredible minnow-style lure. But Assassin has other proven designs. I like the native shiner-colored 5-inch Shad Assassin. That's my go-to lure when I'm targeting big gator trout. Redfish love the Drunk Monkey or the Mudbug-colored 4-inch Assassin Shrimp Cocktail. And you can rig these on a weedless worm hook or the amazing Assassin Springlock Jig Head. Now, these are just a few of my favorite Assassin lures. Check out what top professional anglers have known for years. Assassin lures simply catch more fish, and you can get them at your local tackle store or go to bassassassin.com and get some of these fantastic lures for yourself today. Starbright Premium Marine Polish helps keep your boat looking great. This easy-to-apply premium polish uses polymers instead of wax, so it lasts up to 3 times longer than traditional boat wax. The polymers in Starbright Premium Marine Polish are also easier to apply, block UV rays better, and help keep fish blood, slime, and poop and other stuff from sticking to your gel coat. Starbright Premium Marine Polish isn't a wax, it's a sealer. It's safe for all fiberglass, paints, and polished metals. You won't believe how awesome Starbright Premium Marine Polish will make your car or truck look too. Wax is for surfboards, not boats. Protect your boat with Starbright Premium Marine Polish. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in here to Catch a Memory every Saturday morning. I was just going through the Facebook feed here, and good morning to all of you guys and gals that are out there on the Facebook feed. We appreciate you joining in this morning. I got a question for Butch McCoy, if he can reply. Obviously, we got a kind of a west-northwest wind. I was going to kind of see what the beach looked like this morning, see if it's worth getting out there and trying to do a little surf fishing, if it's doable. And then Darren Stephen Bolton says, good morning. checking out the St. Johns River. It's very low. Have you do a lot of stuff on the St. Johns, Mike?
And not as much as I used to, but spec fishing usually around this time of year.
Yeah,
the river is low, especially towards DeLand, Lake Woodruff, Beersford, that whole area. It's definitely low.
So that brings the next question. So you've got about a 25 foot boat, 26 foot boat, center console.
Correct.
When the water's low, is there areas that you can't fish? Or do you have? Do you just not avoid those areas?
I usually avoid. Most of the freshwater stuff I'm doing now is usually on my dad's bass boat because it's a lot easier to get in and out of and get out on the lake and scoot across than with a big center console. But I still take it out every once in a while and drift it across the lake when I know the specks are biting. I can't set up all the spider rigs. I was half tempted one day to just take an outrigger out and put lines on it and troll like that, like they do for muskie and stuff up north with the little planer boards. But probably people would be like, look at this guy, and end up on Qualified Captain.
You know what's interesting about planer boards? Guys up north use them all the time. Guys down here don't use them. Nope. They actually work really well for slow trolling for king mackerel. They do. Yep. But the problem is if you're turning circles, like if you're on the reef and you're turning a circle trying to stay on top of a school, they're tough.
Right.
They're tough to manage. You always have to have it on the outside of the turn. That's the only way that the thing works. You cannot put it on the inside because it wants to come back in and across
every line.
It's the weirdest thing, the way it works. But on a beach troll, you can actually run two of those things and run clips off of them and get your spread a little wider, which is really interesting the way that those things do work. So yeah, planer boards. But you've used them in fresh water.
The planer boards?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you just like an outrigger?
No, I mean, I was thinking, put an outrigger out.
Oh, gotcha.
How you normally put, depending on how you have your trolls spread up when you're mahi fishing or anything out offshore.
Yeah.
Set that up with just, a little release clip or a little flag or something, trolling for specks with little jigs.
You could probably tighten the release clip down to the point where it sets the hook for you.
Yeah, just and as you pull up the fish, you can turn the outrigger back, bring them all in, and then put it all back out.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Well, man, let's talk about these sheephead because you hear about sheephead at Ponce Inlet all winter long. Guys start catching them in October, November, right at sort of tail end of the mullet run.
Yep.
And the sheephead bite up there stays pretty good. It seems like all the way until like beginning of April.
Yeah, usually you can get a pretty consistent sheepshead bite, but a lot of times like you said, you catch an 8-inch, 11-inch sheepshead, 11 3/4, and 12 inches to keep, but it's a lot of fun. So
when you're talking about your sheephead rig, what size rod and reel combo do you like to use for that? So
I'm using 3500 series Penn spin fisher rod.
Okay.
Like a 7-foot setup. Just
medium heavy.
Medium.
Okay.
Yeah. Medium heavy.
Sometimes your typical redfish kind of a setup, really.
Yeah. Sometimes you're sheepshead fishing and you get that, that stud black drum or even a redfish come by and eat your fiddler crab or your sand flea, and you still want to have enough backbone to.
Or that bonnet head shark.
Oh yeah, the little bull sharks are. Last week I was catching little silkies and little bull sharks in the right underneath the docks and stuff, eating live shrimp.
Really?
The clients thought it was great, so I swapped out. I put that steel leader on that you were just talking about in the previous segment. Yep. And I think they love to catch little sharks. I mean, they're about 1.5 foot long, if that. But every time they'd hit, they'd skyrocket out of the water and then keep running. They'd try to run right around the front of the trolling motor, but they had a blast doing it.
That's cool. That is cool. And so, what size line, leader, and let's go through like the whole rig. What would your typical line size, leader size, and
20-pound braid usually.
Okay.
Usually I have a fish finder rig, depending on a 12-inch or 18-inch, depending on how close to the structure, if I'm fishing oyster beds or whatnot.
Now, are you using it as a sliding sinker style or using it as a knocker style?
Knocker style.
Okay, knocker style. So what that is, guys and gals, a sliding sinker rig would have a stopping point like a swivel, as an example, and then the egg sinker would be between the rod tip and the swivel.
Right.
With a knocker rig, it would be between the swivel and the hook.
Right.
And so it knocks up against the hook as you cast it, and then is allowed to be able to free line out a little bit. And are you using a swivel, or are you just using knots?
Knots and swivels, depending on what I grab out of my box and if I have the stuff to do it.
And the size of the hole in the egg sinker, because the egg sinker, I always try and get the egg sinkers that have the small holes, because they're more versatile.
Right.
You don't have to use
With a
a
swivel
bead
right.
or a swivel in if you don't want to. You can just get it to stop against your jam knot between your main line and your leader line.
Right. And sometimes if we're fishing close to the structure and close to the dock pylons, and a lot of times those fish aren't just sitting on a bottom. Those sheepshead can be all the way up in the water column. So if you're using, the knocker rig where it goes right down to the hook, they're not going to go to that because they're going to see the egg, and then you got to put it above the swivel on your main line, like a fish finder rig, so that you can pull it up in the water column and it's still got, that 10 to 14-inch leader for that crab to get closer to the pylon, because they're not going to want it right on the bottom. A lot of times they'll want it up in the water column, depending on how they're sitting and what they're eating on the dock.
So
pylon.
what I was thinking about the other day, and I was actually thinking about this for snook fishing, a drop shot rig, where the weight, just like a chicken rig offshore,
Right.
except you're only using one hook. But basically, bass guys in particular, and some walleye, some perch, some freshwater guys will use a drop shot style rig that has the hook that's 4, 6, 8, 12, 18 inches above the weight
Bring it up in the column.
to bring it up in the water column. And I was thinking about that for snook, and the reason was the snook the other day, they were suspending about 24 inches off the bottom. Most of the time, they're not that high in the water. Most of the time, they want to lay, just pretty darn close, within inches of the bottom. But they were up like 2 feet off the bottom. And the presentation was really difficult to get my customers to be able to get the lure or the shrimp, we're using shrimp, to get the shrimp right in front of the fish. It seemed like it was either going over them, and they didn't want to move much because they were cold,
Right.
or it was going under them. And this is before it got really, really cold. The water temperature was still up enough that they were willing to bite. If you got the drift just right, and I'm trying to do it by varying the weight on my jig head, because I'm using just a jig head with the shrimp versus a fish finder or knocker style rig. And I'm like, what I really need here is like a drop shot, but I didn't tie one up. And mainly because I don't have any drop shot weights. I mean, I could have used an egg sinker as a weight. I could have used a jig, honestly, as the bottom, and put a shrimp on the jig and a shrimp on the dropper, if you will. But for whatever reason, I didn't do that. And kind of at the end of the trip, I was thinking to myself, I honestly think that's what the fish would have bit the best. So I kind of fault myself for not at least experimenting with it, because normally I'm pretty open to that. But for whatever reason, I don't know.
Next time you go out, tie one up.
Something kept me from doing it.
Tie one up and give it to one of them and see if that person's catching before the other person does.
Yeah.
And then, you test your theory, but at the same time, the clients are still having fun.
If the fish are suspended
Right.
in that particular fashion. I don't know why I didn't do it. But like I said, I kind of kicking myself because I think we could have caught more fish. Not that we didn't catch some, because we did. And everything right now is 34 to 38 inches. They're all way over slot. And, this was just before the opening of the season. And so it wasn't where you could have kept it anyway, even if it was within slot. But we had a nice school of fish, and they were just not feeding as good as they could have. And I think part of it was my presentation, or our presentation of it. So going back to those sheephead, what size hook do you like to use for them?
So I use a 1/0 circle, but sometimes an offset, like octopus style circle.
Okay.
Because their mouths are real small, but their mouths are hard. I don't know if you ever people.
Oh yeah, they are
watching the show or listening. Their teeth look bigger ones. Their teeth almost look like your and I teeth in the front.
And their jaw structure is really thick.
Yep. So you got to have a real sharp hook, and I like the offset because the clients sometimes want to try to snatch it as hard as they could, but with that hard jawline, it's nice to be able to get that shark, octopus style hook where it actually hooks them. A lot of the times we're hooking them on the outside of the mouth because they're chomping on that sand flea or that fiddler crab, and we're catching them on the outside of their mouth, not even on the inside.
Which is a whole lot easier to unhook them.
Oh yeah, because you'll bend hooks.
You bend hooks trying to get it from around their jawbone, especially if it's just off center. That seems to be the thickest part. Like where their jaw comes to a point on the bottom, just off to the side of that point is like the thickest part of their jaw, and it's tough to get a smaller hook to come back out from around that.
Right. And the biggest one we caught, I was actually taking like a what you'd put a paddle tail on out in the lagoon, like a 1/4-inch jig head, and just taking the fiddler crab and putting it on that. I'm sorry, the sand flea and putting it on that and dropping it on the bottom because they were eating stuff right off the bottom. And that fish had the entire jig in his mouth. Like it was almost like an alligator with the wooden plug. When they swallowed, it's not coming back.
Yeah.
That wasn't coming out of his mouth. It was pretty impressive to see that entire jig head down that thing's throat.
Yeah, he was hungry.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, when we got to take our next break. Okay. Let's take our next break, and we'll be right back with a caller on the line and Captain Mike Kip. I get all wrapped up in fishing. We're going to be right back, gang. Don't go away. Catch Your Memories coming right back. Grill's Seafood Deck and Tiki Bar is one of the Space Coast's most popular local hangouts. We love to kick back and relax at either of their waterfront locations with a cool tropical frozen drink and some of the freshest island-style seafood around. Grill's is known for its fantastic food quality, like their bacon-wrapped scallops, shrimp Cuban sandwich, or one-of-a-kind Bahamian fish chowder. The Tiki Deck features some of the area's best local bands throughout the week, plus Grill's has a fantastic breakfast menu, too. Chill out at Grill's original location in the Cove at Port Canaveral, right next to Sunrise Marina, or check out Grill's Riverside location on Highway US 1, just north of the Pineda Causeway. Go to www.grillsseafood.com for more information, and remember, it all happens at Grill's. Nobody likes to pay for insurance, but you have to have it. So do what I did. Go to Petrucci Insurance. They're your local independent insurance agent, and they're here to make sure you get the right policy to fit your insurance needs at the best price available. I gave Petrucci Insurance a call. They reviewed my current policy and saved me $700 on my home insurance alone. Plus, Petrucci found me better coverage than the policy I had with my other company that I'd been with for years. Don't waste money another day. Call Petrucci Insurance at 321-632-1200. That's 321-632-1200. And stop wasting money on your home, car, boat, and life insurance today. Trailer problems can be a real day breaker. When you need to go to the area's best trailer supply and repair shop, try Ferguson's. Family owned and operated since 1954 and located on Highway 192 in West Melbourne, Ferguson's has a huge supply of trailer tires, wheels, axles, lights, jacks, and other trailer parts in stock. If you're not a do-it-yourselfer, stop by and pick up the parts you need. If not, let their expert staff do the repairs for you. Ferguson's also installs electric brake controllers, trailer hitches, and goosenecks. They have a full line of automotive and marine interstate batteries. So if you need a trailer maintenance, repair part, or a new Continental boat trailer, go to the best trailer shop on the Space Coast, Ferguson's. Check them out at fergusonstrailersupply.com or call their shop at 321-723-5425. Hey gang, what's going on? We got to do a little talking about Direct Graphics this morning. Direct Graphics can take care of anything that you guys and gals need taken care of. They do silk screen shirts. They do all kinds of things to promote your business. So if you need anything from business cards to shirts to any kind of promotional items, guys and gals over at Direct Graphics in Cocoa can take care of that. Give them a call, 321-631-1001. That's Direct Graphics right there on US 1 in Cocoa. Captain Mike Kip in the studio with me this morning. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and we're going to the phone lines. We got Captain Mike Mann calling in with the Mosquito Lagoon report. How's it going this morning, buddy?
Good, guys. Good. Last weekend we were talking. We were hoping there wasn't going to be a whole lot of mortality, and well, there was. there was a pretty good kill-off.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I thought we had escaped it myself. When we talked last week, and I talked with everybody that I had been out, everybody else that had been out, and everybody's like, "No, I'm only seeing a couple here and a couple there." Well, it took some time, but things are now floating, and it's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad thing. It's because it really put a hurting on the trout, which have been down a little bit anyway, and it put a hurting on the snook, which traditionally we're not a snook area, but we've had such a long spell with mild winters that we've become a snook area, and it didn't kill them all, but it definitely put a hurting on them, and it's going to reflect. But the redfish and black drum, they enjoyed it, and the crabs and the shrimp have had a good time. So, it's Mother Nature just doing her own personal culling. And what I remember from 2010 is after the big fish kill off, is the next few years it was some of the best fishing I've ever seen, because the juveniles weren't competing for food with the larger fish. And those especially larger trout, they are cannibalistic. And snook.
Oh, yeah.
So it allowed a bigger population of smaller fish to explode. So I'm hoping, we have the same thing, because it really doesn't take a long time when you have good spawning to show. It's months.
So here's my question, because I haven't seen any of these yet dead.
Okay.
Maybe they just haven't floated. Catfish? Have you seen any of those?
I saw 2 sail cats.
But no hardheads?
No hardheads.
So we need to crossbreed the hardheads with the snook so they die off.
That and the pufferfish.
And that was my next one. My next one was puffers. How about puffers, Mike?
No, I didn't see any puffers. Lots of little mahars and other small bait fish.
Come on, man. No puffers? Come on.
Small pompano too yesterday.
So here's the interesting thing. When we had the freezes 2010, 2011 time frame, and basically everything died. Mangrove snapper, grouper in the Haw River Canal. There was one Goliath that was 150 pounds floating around in there for almost a week before the buzzards popped him. They land on him and peck at him, and they finally popped him, and he started sinking. But everything, catfish, puffers, everything died. And not that you want to see decimation like that, but what a joy it was to fish that whole spring, summer, and fall, and not lose 947 soft plastic baits per day to pufferfish.
And they only take the tail.
Yeah. My bait consumption, my lure consumption, I should say, went down so much, I didn't even reorder that whole year. I did not have to reorder any saltwater assassins that entire year because the puffers were gone. So we need to find a way to selectively target those two species. There's got to be.
I remember coming up, and a lot of the guides, and I'm not going to say on the radio, but a lot of the guides, they'd catch a catfish, and they had a little bat, they'd whack it in the head, and basically if they caught a catfish, they'd kill it, and and I kind of came to the conclusion, I'm not going to be mad at things for doing what they do.
Right.
I'm
the same way.
Mad at catfish for doing what catfish do. I'm not going to be mad at puffers for doing what puffers do. Because, I'm not mad at the redfish or the trout or the snook for doing what they do.
Right.
Except for when they don't eat, which is sometimes what they do. Then I'm mad at them, but that's a different story. So, that's part of it. You know what? You get a trip with, I had a little girl on the boat the other day, and she would have loved to catch a puffer fish.
Right.
So it's,
kids love them.
Because it wasn't about, and we got some quality fish, but it wasn't about the quality. It was about the uniqueness. And you get kids all excited about catching a puffer fish and watching it puff up in my hand. And they, those are future clients. And they get excited about that. And they're like, Mom, Dad, let's call Captain Jimmy. We want to go fishing.
Yep.
So that's, it's just part of it. And we got to remember, we're a little jaded. I mean, Jimmy, this is my 28th year, so you're coming up on 30, I know.
Yeah.
And, matter of fact, I remember when we met, there was an opening. Was it a sports authority up here?
Yeah, Sports Authority was way back in the day in Daytona.
Yeah, Sports Authority in Daytona. You and I were both there. I just started, and that's when you and I met. We became friends. And that Sports Authority is not even there now. Now it's some sort of tile business. So we've outlasted the Sports Authority. That's a pretty good deal.
Yep.
But
we've outlasted the boaters world too.
We've outlasted the boaters world.
I can't tell you how many seminars I used to do for Boaters World. That was a good gig. I had a great contract with them. I'd go all over the Southeast doing seminars for the Boaters Worlds before the SKA and before the Redfish events,
right?
And that were in their local area. And sometimes we'd have 5 people show up, and sometimes we'd have 400 people show up. I mean, it was pretty amazing to see some of the crowds that we would draw when me and my team, Johnny and Tim, came rolling into town for our Kingfish circuit. Seminars, but yeah, we've outlasted a lot of stuff. So we're gonna outlast this cold snap too. So Mike, you said the redfish and the black drum got happy.
Oh yeah, they started. I mean, he stacked up, schooled up really well. I went out running around, and it was just finding a lot of schools of fish stacked up. Now, as far as we've had some calm wind days, which is not good. Calm wind is great for seeing the fish, but you got to go into stealth mode.
Yes.
And when you got a calm, sunny day and you've got low water, clear water, and schools of redfish and black drum, the black drum aren't necessarily quite as spooky, but the redfish are. So you've got to go into ultra stealth mode. I mean, you got to be like that stealth bomber. You got to come creeping in. You got to go smaller. You got to be able to cast long distance, but with very light weights. And you got to have good casters, and you got to have guys on the front of the boat that have got good eyes too, which is sometimes a little challenging. We've been doing it for all these years, and a lot of times our clients, this may be the first time they've gone fishing ever, and some of them the first time they've gone fishing this year, or in a year since the last time they booked with us.
And what's interesting about that is, you and I have sort of a intuition as to which way the redfish or the black drum is going to move. He may be doing something, and you're like, okay, when he's done doing that, he's going to do this. You can also almost anticipate what that fish is going to do, and so bait placement or lure placement becomes much easier for us because we're already anticipating what it's going to do. And 80% of the time we get it right, and 20% of the time we got to reel in and recast. But without that anticipation factor, it makes it a lot more difficult to become a team, because that's what you are with your sight casters. You're a team. You're getting them close enough to be able to make the presentation, but they've still got to make the presentation. It's definitely a team sport.
I'll tell you one of the frustrating things I had on a charter recently is both guys would reel in before I told them to do it. And we were fishing a school of black drum. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the polling platform, and they would make casts. And typically with black drum, we're not throwing at the school. We're trying to throw in front of the school.
Yes.
And, I'd be like, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, let them sit. I'm like, why are they not picking it up? I look, and both guys have reeled it back in. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Don't move it until I tell you to. Let it sit.
Yeah.
Black drum are typically not chase fish. They don't chase baits down.
They're cattle.
They're fat and lazy.
Yeah, they're cattle.
Yes.
They graze.
Yeah, they are fat. They're fat and lazy. You got to let it sit there till one of them comes up and gets a little whiff of that. And that's why I pop that tail off and squeeze the head a little bit. Or you can't reel it in. Oh, well, just let them sit. And then you got to wait, because they were sitting, they had the cast where the fish are now, but when they cast there, the fish were moving in that direction. And now, black drum are notorious for coming right at your boat. You're like, well, they're 4 feet in front of us. There's not a whole lot we can do till I back up a little bit, or they move off a little bit. So it's pretty interesting. It's,
Well, buddy,
so,
we're up against our next break. We've got clean water. We've got incredible looking weather from about Sunday or Monday on into the middle part of next week. Do you have, this would be, if somebody wants to get out and sight fish, this is it. You got schooled up fish, you got great weather conditions, you got great sun conditions, you got low wind. How does somebody jump on board with Captain Mike, man? Or do you have any time available to even get them on the boat?
Oh, I got a lot of time available. You can give me a call at area code 386-295-5991. You go right to my website, fatfishguide.com, and I'll figure out a way to get you in and out there on the water. Looks like the rest of the month's going to be great. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, CAPT Mike Mann with 2 N's. Let's have a great weekend.
All right, brother. Appreciate the call and the update on the report. I can't wait to. If I don't pick up something for Monday, you might get a call from me Sunday evening. If you're not booked, we'll go do it ourselves.
Dude, I'd love that. It's been too long.
It has been. All right, brother. You take care.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
All right. Hey, gang. Captain Mike and myself are going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more coming from you from Catch a Memory Outdoors, so don't go away. Who's got the best selection of rods and reels from Penn, Daiwa, and Shimano? Lures from No Live Bait Needed, Rapala, MirrOlure, and Saltwater Assassin, and one of the largest selections of coolers and boating supplies in the entire state. Well, Ace Hardware in Titusville, that's who. Ace in Titusville is your one-stop shop for all of the fishing and boating supplies you'll need. Ace is just minutes away from the Titusville boat ramps, and their parking lot allows you to get in and out even when you're trailering your boat. Check out the largest selection of fishing and boating gear in the northern Space Coast area at Ace Hardware in Titusville on US 1.
If you listen to this show, you know Captain Jim Ross is a leading authority on light tackle fishing on Florida's Space Coast. Jim grew up on the banks of the Indian River Lagoon and has been a full-time fishing guide for almost 30 years. In that time, Jim's clients have landed over 30,000 trout, redfish, snook, and tarpon from our local waters. So if you're looking for an experienced fishing guide to take you on your next fishing adventure, book a trip with Captain Jim Ross. Just go to finelinefishingcharters.com to book your next trip with Captain Jim and get ready to catch your next
Hey, let me tell you
memory.
about Realtor Daniel Hart. He's a guy that really cares about helping his community and our local lagoons. Daniel has already donated thousands of dollars to the Indian River Lagoon Clam Restoration Project from the proceeds of property he sells, and he continues to do this every time he helps one of you buy or sell a property. This makes a huge impact each year for the water quality of our lagoons. Daniel is also passionate about first responders throughout his community. Through his Heroes Real Estate Group, Heroes Rebate Program, Daniel has personally donated over $70,000 to help police, firefighters, veterans, and even school teachers by returning money to them from the purchases of their homes. Going above and beyond for you is what Realtor Daniel Hart is all about. If you're buying or selling a property, call Realtor Daniel Hart to help. Daniel can be reached at 407-247-3894. That's 407-247-3894. Hey, gang, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. Hey, this segment of the show is brought to you by Petrucci Insurance. So if you guys and gals haven't done your rate quote yet, call Petrucci. The Petrucci Insurance Agency will check around for you, find out who has the best potential coverage for your boat, your house, your car, and get you the best deal going. And in many cases, like right now, they're saying that house insurance is actually supposed to be starting to go down. So definitely, if you haven't done a rate quote, it's time.
Definitely.
Mine's coming up here this month, the end of this month, first of next month. And so I just got my renewal. I have to check it again. I haven't opened it up, but I just got it in the mail the other day. I got to open it up and see what it looks like compared to last year's. But I already know that Virginia over at Petrucci Insurance Agency is going to be checking around for me to see if there's something better because there are new companies coming into the market all the time.
Right.
And sometimes those companies come in, and because they're trying to garner, market share, they'll come in at a lower rate than some of your well-established companies will. So, once again, it doesn't hurt to check around. It's free. The call is free. 321-632-1200. That's 632-1200. I urge you, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. And if they can't beat what you've got, then hey, I got the best deal going. But man, I'm telling you, there's more times than not that you're going to get a call from them and go, hey, we can save you some money.
Let them do all the legwork for you.
Exactly. It's a free call. So give them a call there, Patricia, and let them do some good for you and your pocketbook. Let's get the catch conditions out of the way real quick. Fishing and boating conditions from Ponce to Sebastian. We got a small craft advisory until 1 p.m. today because we do have some heavier winds. Northwest at 15 to 20, but it's going to drop down to north to northeast at 10 to 15 by tonight. Seas inside of 20 miles are supposed to be 4 to 6 feet with a dominant period of about 5 to 6 seconds. There's also a longer period swell of about 10 to 11 seconds. That's also kind of on that 5 foot is on top of, or 4 to 5 foot is on top of. At the 4 mile buoy, Ponce buoy didn't have any report this morning, so sorry about that. Can't give you guys up in the north section an accurate report. The 4 mile buoy out of Canaveral, 60-degree water temp, was 1 foot at 11 seconds, which sounds pretty nice because you've got the tip of the Cape that's extended out there and kind of protecting that area to the south of the tip of the Cape Canaveral down towards the port. The 20 mile buoy, 71-degree water temp. That's pretty interesting, Mike. 71. Last week it was 74. So that piece of ocean has dropped 3 degrees this week.
It's not shallow there either.
No, that's a lot of water movement and a lot of cooler water coming in from the north. And the only thing that I can say about that is cobia. When I see what happened with that temperature drop, that tells me that we're going to have, if we can get out, a pretty decent cobia season, and it may start any day. It may tomorrow may be the day it starts. Who knows? So if you guys and gals get a chance to get offshore, however, this morning is not that time because it's 4 foot at 4 seconds, and I don't know anybody that wants to go out in 4 foot at 4 seconds. The 6 mile buoy out of Fort Pierce, reading 64-degree water temperature, and it's 3 feet at 10 seconds there. So there is some chop. There also is some swell out there, but it's going to be laying down. So we should see towards the beginning of the week it getting really good. Western edge of the Gulf Stream, 46 miles out of Ponce, 35 out of Canaveral, and 30 out of Sebastian. And the surf temps, we've got 60 degrees at Ponce, 59. I don't think that's right. That's got to be a couple of day old report. Yeah. Because honestly, I don't see how it could be 60 degrees right now when everywhere else is less than that.
It was 51 when I went to the jetties yesterday morning.
I was going to say 55 to 56 is probably what the surf temp is up there. Just guessing. Down at Canaveral, it's 59, and then Sebastian was 61. Port Canaveral tides, we got a high coming up at 11:25 a.m., a low at 5:44 p.m., and a high again at 12:04 a.m. this evening, or late tonight, or early morning tomorrow, I guess you would say. Sebastian, 11:23 a.m. is your high, 5:56 p.m. is your low, and 12:02 a.m. is your high. And the solar lunar tables look like this. This is brought to you by All About Archery down in Melbourne. So if you guys are going to get a chance to go out and do a little pig hunting today, or if you're out, I'm wearing my duck clothes because this is the last day of duck season. Got the youth hunt going on this morning. 9:47 a.m. to 10:47 a.m. is your minor, and then 4:02 to 6:02 p.m. is your major this evening. So hopefully you guys and gals can take advantage of that. That 4:02 to 6:02 is going to be right in line with when my feeder's going off up at Oak Hill, and my deer have left. They were on camera. I'm sitting here. Mike and I are sitting here watching TV on my phone because I've got my live camera up in Oak Hill, and we're watching the deer feed around the feeder and play and chase one another and do all that kind of stuff. But they have officially left the building.
Does that usually coincide with your major and your minor that you're looking at when you're looking at the feeder?
What's interesting about these deer, because they're in a residential kind of an area, they're very dawn and dusk specific.
Gotcha.
They'll stick around until about 7:45 and then gone. They'll be there when the feeder's going off at 6:15, and they'll stay until every kernel is gone or something runs them out of there. But there's really nothing here to chase them off. I mean, it's our property and the adjacent property is undeveloped, so they don't feel too, sketchy most of the time. But by 7:45, they're gone. At least like right now, the way the light condition is, and then they'll show back up just at dusk or right after dusk if the pigs aren't there.
Right.
The pigs have been coming in the evening for like the last 2 weeks,
Scaring everything off.
and so deer and pigs don't go together. So we've been seeing pigs at night and deer in the morning. So I need to get my wife up there and shoot one or two more of these pigs. We got one, we're calling him Tripod, and the other we're calling Tank. Tank, his belly's dragging the ground. He's so big. I mean, he is not built for speed, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, he's built for comfort. He ain't built for speed. And the other one, we don't know what happened to him. He was fine until about 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, he came in there and he's limping. His leg, his left rear leg from the knee joint down is gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alligator or something.
Well, we've got a big gator in the marsh. He goes back and forth between the pond and the marsh. He mainly stays in the marsh, but the pigs come through the marsh. So we're thinking either that or our one neighbor that does do some hunting up there, maybe he just took a bad shot and knocked the lower part of his leg off or something, but I can't see that because everything else that he shot pretty much he's hit pretty good.
Yeah, with the water being low too.
So I'm thinking it's Gator,
yeah.
that Gator got him. But his whole from the knee down, his whole bottom part of his leg is gone. But he's still in there feeding as hard as he can go, and like I said, we call him Tripod. He's hopping around on 3 legs. So it's interesting to watch animals live. Seeing them on a photo from a still photo from your camera is one thing, but to watch them actually interact with each other, the way they come in and out of the feeding area, it's very, very interesting because you can learn a lot.
See their social patterns.
Yeah,
how they
you
communicate, even though they're not talking, they communicate.
And what's interesting is depending on the wind, they always come in from a downwind scenario. Always. You're like, oh, well, he's going to come in from this trail over here, coming in from this side, and you're like, no, the wind's not blowing. Even they might have done that 4 days in a row. Wind shifted, he's not coming in from there. He's coming in from wherever. They always want to walk into the wind. So they approach the feeder from the woods because it's completely surrounded by woods, 360 degrees. They always come in from downwind. So, that's one more thing to prove that whenever you're hunting, your hunting setup is critical to your success.
Yep.
If you're in the slipstream and they smell you, you'll never even know they were even in the same county because they'll smell you so far away, they'll never come to that feeder. They'll go, nope, something ain't right. So it's pretty interesting. So one of the things that I've really, really paid attention to is which way the wind blows. And man, just watching these animals come in and out of the feeding zone just absolutely confirms it. It's pretty interesting. Lots of fun to watch them. It's kind of like having your own little. It's when you're a kid and you laid in front of the aquarium and just laid there and watched the fish before you went to bed at night. It was kind of instead of watching the TV, you just laid there and watched the fish. I know I'm not the only one that did that.
Like turning on the golf channel to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's like the same thing because I just sit there and I'll just watch them on the phone. And somehow I've got to figure out. I'd like to figure out. I don't know how to do it because I'm tech-tarded, but I want to figure out how to throw it or cast it. They say from your phone to your TV because I'd really like to watch it on the big screen versus on this little phone screen.
Right.
That would be pretty cool. It can't be hard. My son can probably do it in a second.
Yeah.
Me, it would take me. An instruction manual as thick as a yellow book, telephone book, and I still probably get it wrong. But anyway, so that's the conditions. Speaking about archery, if you guys have a crossbow or a compound bow, now's the time. Season's over. Go get your stuff. Make sure it's tuned up. Make sure you didn't cut any. Here's the bad part about bow hunting in Florida in particular, or anywhere in the Southeast where you have palmettos. If you brush against a palmetto on your way in and out, they are like little razor blades, and you don't realize it, but they'll make little nicks in your cables and your strings. And over time, that wears and wears and wears and can become a dangerous situation. So it's really, this is a great time. Hunting's over with, except for hogs. Hunting's over with. It's a great time to go take your bow down to All About Archery there on Aurora in Melbourne and have them just do a once over on it and make sure everything's tightened up and ready to go. That way you don't have potential unexpected issues.
Catastrophic failure.
Or catastrophic failure, yeah. Anywhere along the way. So stop in at All About Archery and tell them that you heard about it, heard about us right here on Catch a Memory. So don't go away. We're going to be right back. We've got a whole nother hour with Captain Mike Kip and myself, Jim Ross. We're going to be talking some offshore in the next go around because that's your wheelhouse, isn't it, Mike? Yes. All right, buddy. We're going to be right back after these messages, so don't go away.
You're listening to WWBC, Cocoa, Melbourne, Titusville, 1510 AM, as well as W234BI, Cocoa, Rockledge, and W264AS, Rockledge, Melbourne, Palm Bay, and 100.7 FM.
If you're a shooting enthusiast like I am, you have to check out the incredible lineup from Kel-Tec. Developed and made right here in Central Florida, Kel-Tec is a leading industry manufacturer of shotguns, rifles, pistols, and guess what? They're all chambered in common calibers that we all love to shoot. Whether you're a weekend plinker or you want some advanced personal carry or home protection options, Kel-Tec makes exactly what you need. Find a dealer near you or check out the entire line of Kel-Tec weapons, accessories, and apparel by going to keltecweapons.com.
Your boat's upholstery looked great when it was new, but over time it gets dingy and stained. Starbright has the perfect combination for your problem. Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Cleaner and Ultimate Vinyl Guard. Starbright's Ultimate Vinyl Cleaner won't dry or fade your vinyl. It has powerful cleaning agents that blast away fish blood, grease, road grime, and more without harmful chemicals that ruin your boat's vinyl. Starbright's Ultimate Vinyl Guard is like a sunblock for your boat's vinyl cushions. It restores moisture and shine to sun-bleached vinyl without being slippery. Plus, it blocks harmful UV rays and helps keep your vinyl cleaner longer. Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Guard is great for plastic, rubber, and leather, too. It's ideal protectant for trucks and cars as well. Use Ultimate Vinyl Guard on your car or truck dashboard, seats, and door panels. Heck, you can even use it on the sidewalls of your truck or trailer tires. Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Guard makes all your stuff look great.
Batten down the hatches. We've got another great hour with Captain Jim Ross and this week's special guest starting right now.
Hey guys and gals, welcome back. Catch a Memory Outdoors second hour. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. If you're out there listening on the radio, we appreciate that. Obviously, if you guys and gals are running around Brevard County here on the Space Coast, you can get us on 99.9, 94.7, and 100.7. So in the north part of Brevard County, 99.9, it's a low power FM frequency. In the central part, Rockledge down through Vieira, 94.7. And then the 100.7 kind of goes from Vieira south towards Sebastian. And you guys and gals can listen on that FM frequency if you happen to be out driving around or in your boat or maybe sitting out on Lake Washington doing some speck fishing this morning or heading down to headwaters and trying to catch some bass and specks down there. I know the youth hunt, the youth duck hunt is today. They're kind of wrapping the season up. That's going to be it's always a big time for the kids. Jeff Kranick has in years past been a huge part of kind of helping with that thing, and he's like, man, the kids just love it. He goes, they get to camp out, wake up in the morning, get themselves all ready, get out there on the water and do a little duck hunting. And this morning, even though it's a little chilly, it's not yesterday morning.
No.
So it should have been hopefully a halfway decent sleep last night and hopefully a halfway decent shoot this morning. Mike, you were just talking about you and your wife. You bought a new Jeep.
Yep.
Or a new to you Jeep.
New to us Jeep. Yep.
So My wife has a Jeep. Our producer Paul has got a Jeep. So it's we had to get together and do a little Jeep run somewhere. Sometime.
Definitely. Yeah, it'd be cool to. He was telling us about doing the refuge, driving that, coming down this way and do the refuge and grab lunch somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We have to find some place that doesn't serve broccoli. That's the only stipulation. Paul does not like broccoli.
Gotcha.
That's not his thing. Now, pulled pork, oh, yeah, he's all about that. But if it starts with a B, no. Nope. So I'm sure we can find some place to do that. Hey, you know what? We have got a great opportunity. Looking at those water conditions, Ponce Inlet is at 60 degrees. The beach at Canaveral's at 60 degrees. The beach at Sebastian's at 60 degrees. The 20-mile buoy's at 71 degrees. Somewhere along the Space Coast is that magic 68-degree water temperature break.
Yep.
And if we can find that break, and we can find where it lines up over structure or over bait, or bait and structure, if you can put the two together, we're going to find the cobia.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be there.
It makes me warm and fuzzy.
So, a lot of guys are like, when's the best time to catch cobia? I mean, my crystal ball is not that precise.
Right.
And I know yours isn't either. So on the days where you see, hey, we've got conditions that are lining up, we may actually get a shot at some cobia today. Do you even mention that to your customers, or do you just keep it in the back of your mind and look for those conditions, or go to those conditions if you're looking at temperature chart, those sorts of things? Do you just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, or do you spill the beans on that?
When some clients specifically said, say they've never caught XYZ species, I'll let them know, hey, the conditions are right. We're going to do everything we can, especially if you can see them up in the water column over that structure where your temperature's right.
Right.
Everybody's bottom fishing, dropping everything straight to the bottom. Well, yeah, you can catch them off the bottom too, but bring it up.
They suspend a lot.
Bring it up into the water column, split the difference. If you're in 80 foot of water, bring it up to 45, 50 feet. And a lot of times, besides sharks, you don't catch a cobia, you can free swimming kingfish, stuff like that you can pick up as well.
Some little AJs.
Yep.
It's probably a little cold for the African pompano right now, but there's other species in that portion of the water column. Yep. Just before the last cold front, I was talking to Brian that runs the No Regrets. He had 3 sailfish on Pelican Flats while he was kingfishing.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He goes, I switched over, and I wasn't pulling the typical cigar minnows, the spinning minnows, if you will. He goes, I switched over and I put ballyhoo out, and I was getting bigger kingfish, first of all, and he had 3 sails one day. So really, that's a really nice, unexpected bycatch,
right?
Because one sailfish makes a whole trip.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How many other fish come out of the water as much as those fish do, and so jump, cool tail walk, and then you get them next to the boat, and they're just lit up. But going back to those cobia, I'm feeling that is going to be a thing, probably in the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, if we end this being our last cold front, I'm sure we're still going to get some cool fronts pushing through. But if this is our last cold front, hopefully we get a little bit longer season for them as well, as far as the conditions go. I mean, it fluctuates here and there. I think last year it got to where conditions were right, and then Mother Nature was like, "Hey, we're gonna throw a cold front at you."
You're getting 3 straight weeks of no, you don't.
Yeah, exactly. She does what she wants, but yeah, hopefully we get a good run of cobia. It'd be nice. My wife would be very happy. For sure.
So when you're looking for fish out of Ponce, as an example, do you fish places like the Party Grounds, East 11, or do you go to slightly smaller pieces of structure?
I usually head southeast, kind of towards Turtle Mound.
Okay.
Towards the natural bottom. We do have resident cobia that they like the structure and they stay there, but you got an area like even Party Grounds. It's a larger area, so they got more areas to move around from. So if you can find that that little natural bottom, that's in between point A and point B that not 15 other boats are sitting on, then usually that's where you can pick up a cobia, and then catch them as bycatch, trolling for kingfish. A lot of times they'll hit a planer. Trolling for kingfish in the summer, you'll end up catching a cobia, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. So obviously, if you can mark bait over the structure, that's even more important.
Yep.
What are you typically rigging I mean, I always have, if I'm going out there, I always have a jig.
Yep.
Always.
Always have a bucktail ready.
Have a
It
jig tied
sits up
on
the T-top ready to
If
go.
I know it's going to be a scenario where we're seeing rays, I actually take the jig off.
Right.
And guys are like, well, how come you don't cast it, the jig at a cobia?
Because everybody's throwing jigs.
Everybody's throwing jigs at cobias.
Yep.
And the chances of hooking the ray
Go way up.
go way up versus I've been throwing these 7-inch assassin swim baits.
That's what I started throwing when you first mentioned them.
And man,
Something different, it's got that natural presentation of a bait
they
fish.
love them. And you can cast them pretty far. I mean,
Right.
you can't cast them as far as a jig.
Right.
But you can cast them far enough to get the presentation right, get it out in front of the ray and in front of the fish. And man, when they see them, they love them.
Yeah, when
they
the water's clear enough, you see that torpedo kind of just blob down. You see when as soon as he makes that turn, you're like, oh, this is going to be it. Hold on. You're fixing to have to hold on.
It's on. Rub a little bang on there, a little Procure on there, and give it just a little bit of scent. And the other thing that a lot of people don't really use a lot is a squid strip.
Right. So that's what my brother and I started. We'll take the jig off, or even with the jig, take some rigging floss and try to get, you try to launch a frozen squid that thawed out. It's going to just come off, usually lands behind you in the boat.
Yeah.
Take some rigging floss, throw it on there, and just have it sit, in the cooler on ice, or even with like Manhattan oil. So it's got that fishy smell, but it's a little different than just, that bright pink or bright red and white bucktail jig. So it's got some scent on it. So if you're throwing it in front of the ray, the slipstream of that scent going down underneath the ray, that fish gets it and turns right off of it.
I fully feel like fish that are pressured respond so much better when they do have some scent.
Absolutely.
The same thing happens with fish that are finicky about eating. You heard Mike Mann earlier talking about the black drum in the Mesquite Lagoon, and he was taking and breaking the tail off of his shrimp and mashing the shrimp a little bit to get more scent to come out of it, so the black drum would pick it up. They'd smell it and pick it up.
Right.
Same thing happens with a lot of other species, especially offshore. I've seen Jack Crevalle refuse, of all things, Jack Crevalle refuse things because it didn't have scent on it. But you put a little scent on it, and all of a sudden, they're whacking it.
Right.
Triple tail are notorious for that. Triple tail want to smell their bait, or they want to smell their food before they eat it. They don't just go up and attack the way a trout or a snook would.
Right.
They want to come up to it, get close enough, and smell it. And if it doesn't have smell, they'll just kind of go, no, something's not right.
Or they'll see the leader, or they'll see the hook, or they'll see something. They'll come up and I
mean, I've had instances. This is how funny fish can be. I've had instances in the past where I have a triple tail that's on a piece of floating debris, and you throw the shrimp at it, and he comes out and he's like, ooh, but then he's like, something's not right.
Right.
And he goes back to the debris, and you reel it back in, and you recast the shrimp, and you recast the shrimp, and you recast the shrimp, and he's like, no, pull a shrimp in,
hook it somewhere else.
I take it and I squirt, because their legs, their swimming legs, are basically from their tail all the way up to their carapace. Take the Procure and just pack the underside of the shrimp full of Procure and throw it back out there. Now he can't hardly swim because his legs are all clogged up with the Procure gel. Okay, but the triple tail goes, oh yeah, that's what I wanted,
right?
And eats it. And you're like, this thing was swimming naturally with just like a tail hook and a little light leader and a little tiny hook, and he was swimming by you a minute ago. You didn't eat him. Now he can't even hardly swim. He's sinking like he's not like a rock, but he's sinking because he can't swim.
Right.
But he's got scent, and so now you're going to eat it.
Tell clients all the time, everybody's trying to cast, everybody's casting chicken wings at these fish all the time. Chicken wing, and then somebody throws a slice of pizza in front of them. What do you think they're going to want to eat first? That's something's different from what every other shrimp that's been thrown at them. Just doing the Procure.
That is exactly right. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch of Memories, so don't go away. Captain Mike Kip and myself are going to be back after these messages. Greasy smears, fish blood, dirty footprints, and spilled food all create a mess on your boat's deck. Here's a fast and easy solution to clean them. Starbright Ultimate Extreme Clean. Just spray it on the spot, hit it with a deck brush, and rinse it off. Dirty vinyl cushions, greasy drips around your outboard,
Even those suspicious stains your fishing buddy always seems to leave behind don't stand a chance when you squirt a little Ultimate Extreme Clean on them. Starbright Ultimate Extreme Clean works great to clean your grill and around the house. You can use it on your truck or lawnmower. It gets greasy stains out of clothing too. Just spray it on any greasy spot, give it a light rub, and they'll look like new again. Make sure you pick up some Starbright Ultimate Extreme Clean and lose those greasy stains today. Assassin, the most trusted name in bass fishing, is also the top soft plastic lure brand for saltwater species. Sea trout, tarpon, redfish, and snook can't resist a saltwater Assassin 4-inch sea shad. Its amazing swimming action sets the bar for swim bait designs. Others continue to try, but no one has been able to replicate the action of this incredible minnow-style lure. But Assassin has other proven designs. The native shiner-colored 5-inch shad Assassin is my go-to lure when I'm targeting big trout. Redfish love the drunk monkey or the mudbug-colored 4-inch Assassin shrimp. And snook and tarpon love their new little P&V dart bait in watermelon red flake or Houdini colors. You can rig these lures on a weedless worm hook or on the amazing Assassin Spring Lock jig head. So these are just a few of my favorite Assassin lures that help me and my customers stay happy. Check out what top professional anglers have known for years. Assassin lures simply catch more fish. Stop in your local tackle store or go to bassassassin.com to check out this incredible lure for yourself.
Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in to Catch Memory Outdoors, sticking with us through that last break. Captain Mike Kip is in the studio with us this morning. We're talking a little bit about cobia. The cobia season's coming up with this cold front and these water conditions. And, of course, we all love to get out there and chase the cobia. Right now, though, we've got one of our show sponsors, Bill Pasternak from the Ace Hardware in Titusville, on the line. Bill, you know, you've got a great selection of rods, reels, tackle, all kinds of fun stuff in your Ace store there in Titusville. In fact, one of the better selections on the Space Coast, to be honest with you. But you've got something going on tonight that's a little bit unique. And so I appreciate you calling in and telling everybody about it.
Okay, Jim. Hey, I appreciate you too. But I'll tell you what, at our Garden Street location tonight, between 5 and 8 p.m., we are having a Mardi Gras Ladies Night. It's specifically for ladies to enjoy themselves and get out. We've got food going to be there. Jambalaya from Orleans Bistro on US 1 there in Titusville. We're going to have karaoke. We're going to have raffles. Matter of fact, we're giving away $3,000 worth of items tonight.
Wow.
And, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know we've got also, we're going to offer 20% off anything in the store to the ladies tonight. So it's a really big deal. There are a few exclusions, but almost everything's going to be 20% off. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have all kinds of things to do. And so I would like to invite them all out there to Ace Harbor on Garden Street. It's across the street from Publix, out by I-95.
Well, you know, that location that you have there has been one of the easier ones to find simply because it is so close to 95 on Garden Street. The Mardi Gras party that you're throwing, is it complete with hurricanes and things of that nature, or hurricane drinks, I should say, or just the jambalaya?
Jambalaya, we're going to have drinks, but no, we're not going to be serving alcohol.
Okay, I just wanted to double check on that.
But, yeah, there'll be a lot of fun. And first 50 girls here are going to get a swag bag with some goodies in it. And we're looking forward to a pretty good crowd. You know, if you dress up or anything, just come and enjoy it. And if you can want to sing some karaoke, we've got a professional karaoke machine there. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be there, but thank God I'm not going to sing. But
well, one last thing, Bill. You know, this is the time of year when we've all just come through a freeze, and obviously, you owning a hardware store, you have a little bit of knowledge about some of the things that when the ladies come out there tonight. what they may need to do to get their foliage back in some kind of shape. So you're obviously going to have maybe some pruning items, tips like and tips to go along with them. Obviously with gardens, you need whatever you need for fertilizers, things of that nature to keep your vegetables and things going on. So the nice thing about coming to a shop like yours is not only has it got everything, but you've got the ability and the knowledge to help them with a lot of what their needs are going to be. So they're just not out there shopping blind.
Absolutely. And I mean, here's another thing. Besides that, you mentioned pretty much everything. You got to fertilize them. You got to take care of them, prune them back, let them regrow as soon as spring hits here. Most of them will come back. Some of them won't. They may need to be replaced, but that doesn't happen very often. But I'll tell you what, it is Valentine's Day coming up, so maybe they can get their sweet husband or boyfriend a nice gift from Ace Hardware.
Well, I'll tell you what, at 20% off, 20% off of some fishing tackle, that's a pretty deep discount, because there's not a big margin in tackle. People think that there is, but there's really not. So that's a deep discount to go into the fishing department with.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what, it's just going to be a lot of fun, even if you don't buy anything. Come on out, enjoy yourself, get out, and meet some other ladies in the community here and have a good time. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And what time is that from tonight, Bill?
5 to 8 p.m.
Okay, perfect.
We're giving a pair of Costa Del Mars away and some other really nice things. So it's going to be worth the trip out.
Absolutely. We appreciate you as a sponsor of this show, and obviously we appreciate everything that you guys do up there at Ace Hardware in Titusville to keep all of our listeners with all of the gear that they need, whether they're on the water or in the garden.
Well, Jim, I love to fish.
Yes, you do, buddy. Yes, you do.
A lot of people do.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Bill. We appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
You too, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Yeah, that's cool. 20% off on some of those items. That's a pretty deep discount.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, Garden Street location. Check them out. I haven't been in that location in a couple of years. So be interesting to stop back in there and say hey to the guys. I always stop at the one on US 1 because it's got a huge selection of tackle.
You can't miss it.
And outdoor gear. They got everything.
Boat trailers lined up.
When you look at the way that those stores are like their planogram, the way that they lay everything out, you walk in there and you're like, I don't understand how this store can have this much stuff. But they do. They've got like everything.
Yep.
They've got everything from nuts and bolts to
and the kitchen sink,
to boat wash, to the kitchen sink, to the gas grill or the big green egg or the whatever else you want, the Traeger. They've got everything there. Pretty cool place. Well, you know what? Let's do the Starbright Cleaning Solutions segment of the show real quick, and that way we can get that out of the way. Last week I told you guys about the magic sponge, okay? And obviously, if you don't have a magic sponge, you need to get a magic sponge. But here's the best overall product that I've found for keeping your deck clean or cleanable, where you don't have to spend a whole lot of time getting in there and scrubbing and grinding and everything else. After you've got the whole boat completely clean, the Starbright deck wax, and we've talked about this in the past, but the non-skid deck wax is one of my favorite products because I spray it on, I brush it around with my deck brush, and I let it dry.
Yep.
And I do it when the deck is still just a little bit wet. It spreads easier. I can spread it real evenly. I can go both directions across my non-skid, so I get it in all the little cracks and crevices. And that way, when the fish blood drops on it, the poop drops on it,
comes right off.
Everything else, it comes right off. You can just bucket. You can take a bucket and just bucket it off, or wash down hose and wash it off. And so by the end of the day, when you get home, there's very little that you have to really kind of grind on to get it to come off. So that Starbright non-skid deck wax is one of my favorite products. I guarantee you, if you start using it, it's going to become one of your favorite products too. And normally what I'll do is I'll reapply it because I'm washing my boat up to 5 times a week. Sometimes I'm 5 days a week. This time of the year, I'm 2 to 3 days a week. But every week, I'll reapply it. And it just keeps on working. That's one of the things that you can get up there at Ace Hardware. So 20% off of that's not a bad deal. So stop in up there tonight and get some of that non-skid deck wax. You know what? We've got not just cobia. We've potentially, Mike, got a red snapper season coming here. Potentially. Whether or not the feds give us our 2-day season, our 1-day season, whatever our day season comes out to be. Yes, that's obviously something that everybody looks forward to. But the state of Florida is currently working on taking over the management in the Atlantic on red snapper. And if they can do that, they have mentioned, like last month, as a matter of fact, they mentioned that they wanted it to go from May until June, and then a couple of other sprinklings
in October
throughout the year, weekends or whatever throughout the rest of the year, or a majority of the rest of the year. We haven't got a confirmation on that.
Not yet.
I know you're getting calls on that though.
Yep.
So how do you see that playing out? Do you see us actually getting a season this year?
Anything's better than nothing. I don't think they would have done the legwork with the EFP trips that they did for DeSantis to send that package up to Washington, D.C. as far as getting the feds to approve it. But anything's better than what we were getting, So 10% of something's better than 0%. So even if we're, one fish is better than nothing. I'm hoping it's more than that. But, it's a lot of bycatch when you're out bottom fishing. You can't usually get away from them. So it'd be nice to be, you got a client that's catching, an 8-10 pound red snapper. I mean, it's not huge, but it ain't small either. It's a trophy to them. They've never really caught one before to be able to take it home and harvest it.
An 8-pound red snapper, the way I look at it, an 8-pound red snapper is going to yield about 2.5 to 3 pounds of fillets off of it.
Right.
You're normally about any fish. You're normally around 30% of the overall weight is what the yield is.
Right.
In fillets. Unless you take the collars and there's other things that you can do. But if you're just filleting the fish, you get about a 30% yield. An 8-pound red snapper, one 8-pound red snapper is going to yield as much as 5 lane snappers.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you look at the overall amount of product that a guy can take home, that one fish is a very important fish to our fishery.
Yep.
Because it could potentially be another 2, 5, maybe even 8 or 9 pounds.
Right.
If you get one that's really big. That the customer can then take home. Now, I know there's been some talk about an upper slot limit. I feel like that's a waste of time. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if they're going to give us a size or a number, but I haven't heard any of that as far as upper size limit, because the big ones are the ones that are breeding right now. Right. So if we have a bunch of juveniles that are starting to take over, I know when I've dove out of ponds last summer, obviously we see the big sow, we call, big pigs.
Big sows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you see a bunch of medium-sized red snappers.
Cadillacs.
Right. Absolutely. So, I mean, if we thin out those ones and still have the breeders, which are the over slot or upper slot size, we're still maintaining a fishery, but at the same time calling out all the juveniles.
Yeah. I'm of the impression that I don't think they're going to be able to put an upper slot limit on it. And here's my reasoning for that. Not that you can't catch a 25-pound red snapper in 70 feet of water, okay? Because it can definitely happen at almost any given time. But the majority of the bigger fish, the majority of the fish that are over 18 pounds are coming from 180 to 250 feet. And when you start pulling out of fish out of 250 feet of water, when they get to the top, I mean, they're so out of sorts from barotrauma.
Right.
A lot of times their skin is sizzling.
Yep.
The gases are trying to escape, and it's pressing so hard, it's pushing through their skin.
Right.
To get that fish back down and actually have that fish live, I'm not necessarily convinced that is a live release,
right,
if you will. I think my personal opinion is it becomes a dead discard.
Right.
And so a lot of guys are like, we can put the big ones back in, but the physical place, the places that they are living and the physical trauma that they undergo coming out of those depths unnaturally. Now, if they swim up, that's one thing, but they don't swim up. They swim down. You have to pull them up. So I just don't see how an upper slot limit could be effective at all.
Right.
Here's my other thought process. Anybody that's eaten a red snapper, or anybody that goes out fishing and offshore fishing and catches red snapper and has eaten red snapper, knows that a fish that is 12 pounds or 14 pounds tastes way better than a fish that's 24 pounds. So I would think, unless it's a tournament scenario, I would think that looking for the fish that are the better quality eating fish would be what most people would want to go do,
right?
Rather than go, I got to go get the big one. I got to go get the big one. But it's not tournament day. Weight is of no consequence here. Yeah, it's impressive when you come back to the dock, but your quality, your food quality, isn't there.
Right.
It just isn't. Same thing with a triple tail. You know, guys are like, a 22 pound, 24 pound triple tail. Give me the 8 pounder, the 12 pounder all day long. All day. You can have. Yeah, he's impressive. He's big. He fought. You know, he did all those things. But when it comes to table quality, I look at it and I go, I'm not seeing any need to keep that particular fish. In fact, when I'm fishing or my wife and I are fishing, if I catch a fish that's over 15 pounds, I put it back in the water. I don't even keep it. And guys are like, you put what? And I'm like, yeah, because I would rather have that fish in the water to potentially swim and propagate,
right?
Restock the fishery and take the one that tastes better. But that's just me. But I've already told everybody out there, if you've ever listened to this radio show, I have come to the conclusion I'm a fish snob. I'm a fish fillet snob. And if I'm going to eat something, I want to eat the best quality of that particular species,
right?
Rather than just any old piece of fish.
Correct.
And if you have to freeze it, you've ruined it.
Yep.
You've ruined it. Because a piece of fresh fish versus a piece of frozen fish, it's night and day. It's not like getting a steak and buying some steak, buying a bunch of steak and take it when it's on sale and taking it home and freezing it and then thawing it back out. There's a little bit of degradation there, but not like there is in fish.
Right.
When you freeze fish, you completely change the taste of the fish.
The texture and everything changes.
Everything changes. And so I look at frozen fish as an absolute waste of my time, honestly. But that's me. I'm a fish snob.
Right.
So,
vacuum seal gives it a little bit, but it's still,
still there.
loses stuff. I just made some ceviche for a cookout we went to the other day, and it was frozen lane snapper, and it still firmed up, but it was nothing like making it the same day I caught it.
Right.
Nothing like it.
Right. Exactly. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our next break. We're going to talk a little bit more about some offshore fishing here when we come back, so don't go away. Mike and myself are going to be right back after these messages.
Hey guys, Captain Blair Wiggins here. I'm sure you're aware of the ongoing projects out there that are aimed at restoring seagrass and water quality in the Indian River Lagoon system. Well, here's one that I'm proud to have played a role in getting started, the Indian River Lagoon Clam Restoration Project. I collaborated with Whitney Labs, CCA, the FWC, and many other partners to implement this clam restoration project right here on Florida's East Coast. I would love for every one of you to get involved with this program. Your $20 donation will put 200 clams back into our lagoons. As they grow, these 200 clams will filter over 1 million gallons of lagoon water per year, greatly impacting the health of our local waters. Your contributions are tax deductible, so please help our lagoon by donating $20, $50, $100 or more to this cause. You can make your donation online at IndianRiverClamProject.org/support. Again, that's IndianRiverClamProject.org/support. And on behalf of myself and our waters in the lagoon, we thank you.
Sunrise Marina Bait and Tackle Shop. They've been serving Brevard County anglers for over 25 years. Sunrise has all of the gear that you hardcore anglers need for a productive day on the water, and they've got frozen baits like ballyhoo, sardines, squid, and more. Plus, Sunrise Marina has a great selection of live baits, shrimp, pinfish, croakers, mud minnows, fiddler crabs, and a whole lot more. So if you're looking for tackle, rods and reels, boating accessories, fresh made sandwiches, or your favorite beverages, Sunrise Marina has got everything for you, and you can ice it all down with some bagged or bulk ice at their convenient, trailer boat friendly drive-thru. Sunrise Marina also stocks some really cool nautical gifts, as well as the performance clothing and casual clothing that anglers like you and me like to wear. Make sure you stop by Sunrise Marina before heading out before your next fishing adventure. They're easy to find right across the street from Grills Restaurant at 505 Glen Cheek Drive in Port Canaveral.
Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers. Go to engelcoolers.com. Check them out. They have got a whole bunch of really cool stuff down there. And if you missed the scratch and dent last week, hopefully next time they're having one, I'll have a little bit better heads up. I can give you guys some lead time on so you can make a plan to get down to Jupiter and pick some of that stuff up. Looks like Matt Kilinik. I'm sorry, Matt, I butchered your name, but I'm trying. He says, love the show and the lagoon. Hope to hear the cold snap didn't do too much damage. It did in some areas, but we also have some bright spots, like Captain Mike was saying. The redfish, it kind of energized the redfish and the black drum as we're coming out of that cold and coming back into some warmer conditions. So that's always a good thing. We hate to see that happen. We hate to see the snook get damaged like they did, and the trout, because both of those populations were starting to come back and get really consistent. And so it's really hard to see those things happen, but it does. It just does. So we're looking forward to getting out there and catching some more reds, some more black drum. I got on some huge black drum a couple weeks ago. So those fish that are in the 30 to 50 pound range, got on a nice school of them that was 350 fish strong, and sight cast into 350, black drum that averaged 40 pounds. That just put that in the does not suck column.
Yeah, sure. Now, are those kind of like the big reds we have in the lagoon? Are those fish they stay in the lagoon, or are those big drums still transitioning
those fish
in and
are
out?
big enough now that they'll go up to the Savannah Shipping Channel. They'll go up to Pamlico Sound. They'll even get as far north as the Chesapeake.
Wow.
When they start getting bigger like that, they start to do more long distance traveling. Our fish in the lagoon that are less than 10 pounds typically stay most of the year. If they're less than about 15 to 18 pounds, they're a little more transient. And then as they get right around that 20 pound mark, they start to become a lot more transient.
Right.
And by the time they're 30 to 40 pounds, they're definitely transient. So we don't see those fish year round most of the time. They're here in the colder months, and then they leave and go back north. Mike, though, we were talking about bottom fishing and all of the different species of bottom fish that you can catch. Obviously, we've got the potential setup for cobia.
Right.
We're waiting to hear red snapper days. We're waiting to hear a red snapper season, which would be really nice if we can make that happen. And hopefully they don't do like they did, last year, and 3 days before the days that they want to announce, they go, oh yeah, by the way.
Right.
Hopefully we get some heads up on that. From our standpoint as charter captains, that's a very desirable fish.
Right.
And so that's a fish where we can plan trips around that species, and expect pretty good return on that plan, I would think. So let's just say that they give us a season this year. What's a typical day on Captain Mike's boat look like at that point? Okay, we're going to go offshore. We're going to catch some fish. What's the typical game plan for a 3-person charter?
Usually, 6-hour trip, running out to 140 foot of water bottom fishing. If you get a red snapper season, a lot of people, I want to hit the red snapper. We'll go and within the first spot. Usually, we'll catch red snapper, and whatever they give us for our bag limit, that's great. And then we'll try to move away from them. But a lot of times it's hard to move away from them, changing it up to try to get some trigger fish, maybe some lane snapper, just some mangrove snapper if they're starting to, with the moon and stuff.
Now, do you find that your rig makes a difference?
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you
when
doesn't
the
matter
red
what
snapper get aggressive, it's hard to keep anything away from them.
Especially if it's a cut sardine. they love sardines. And then the sardines, like I was saying, throwing chicken wings down all the time, change it up a little bit. Throw a whole squid strip on there. Even if you're catching a grunt or something, cut a side of a grunt off. A lot of people want to put that whole dead grunt down there, and fish, they don't like to share. If they could swallow that in one bite, they're going to swallow it one bite. That whole saying of elephants eat peanuts, fish are predatories, right? So they're always fighting with one another for food. Get a smaller piece of bait, smaller piece of cut fish, any fresher, bycatch of what you're catching, cutting that chunk down there and send it out there. Sometimes you can get them when you're free lining for mangrove snapper, trying to get them up off the reef. And in the school of the mangrove snapper, you'll see the big sow red snapper that's up there. That light leader dough hook, it's guaranteed hook. Now they're probably going to pull you down because they're so much stronger than the
probably
big.
Not going to stop.
Yeah,
that
right.
fish.
But it all depends on the presentation and what the fish is feeling like, because from one day to the next it changes.
Now we had actually a halfway decent dolphin season this past year. It was not a short run. It was more spread out.
Right.
Guys were catching them well into the summertime. When you're doing your chumming for your snapper, like your mangroves, do you have a pitch bait ready for that dolphin or for a cobia that may swim up?
Usually if it's the cobia jig rod that I have sitting on the T-top, sometime we'll throw a piece of sardine, or a lot of times you can just slam that cobia jig on the water if it's a school of dolphin that are fired up, and as soon as it hits the water, they're fighting for that piece of food. Yeah. You'll see one trying to take the jig out of the mouth of the other one, kind of just like amberjack will do as well. So
right.
Anything to cause a chaotic disturbance in the water when they're in a feeding frenzy, they'll usually eat it.
When the dolphin come into your spread, do you see that it kind of messes up the snapper, or do they mind?
I don't think they really care.
Okay.
Especially in the deeper water, when you get them, swimming up to the boat, a lot of times I'll see them at first and I'll do a double take, and the client's like, what? And I'm like, I don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm pretty sure that's the school bunch of, even if it's peanuts.
Right.
We've caught them off the party grounds before bottom fishing. Last year we did, and the clients were like, they were amazed. We can't keep any of them, but you could just take a little jig, drop it down, splash the water with it. The dolphin would hit it, they'd fight it, and I'd throw another one on. At one time, all four of them had little peanuts hooked up, just having a blast, catch a little peanut dolphin right off the side of the boat.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, as far as the limits go, what do you think about the dolphin limits right now? Do you think that those need to be modified a little bit more, or are you okay with what they're given?
I don't just target dolphin all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I do more of the bottom fishing. So when I do troll for them, it is nice when we get into a big school of dolphin. They're the fastest growing fish that we have. I don't necessarily think that we're catching too many of them. It's just whether we're not far enough or deeper into the Gulf Stream where the warmer water is. I know the guys that are going to the other side of the stream when they're doing tuna fish, and a lot of times they're catching dolphin, but they're catching larger dolphin.
Yeah.
And they're less pressured. They're not always seeing jigs thrown at them or skirted ballyhoo drag next to them. So, I mean, I'm pretty okay with what our dolphin is now. For sure.
Gotcha. So minimum size limit you think is fine too?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Well, guys and gals, we are going to take our next break. Oh, we're going to go to Jeff? Okay. We got a caller on the line. And we got Jeff's on the line. Good morning, Captain Jeff Kranick's on the line.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, buddy. How's the youth hunt going this morning so far?
Just got off texting John Webb. They had 137 kids show up for the hunt today.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
And they'll be starting to feed them between 10:30 and 11. So, yeah, big crowd. That's the future of duck hunting right there. And, good job for the Goodwin staff that put it all together.
Yeah. Now this particular youth hunt day, they camped out last night, right?
Some of them did, yes.
And then, or you didn't have to, but you could. You could camp out. So that's always fun. Camping out's always a big time. And then today, after the hunt, they're going to have a lunch for them.
Yes. All free from the underwriters, which I don't know this year who underwrote the breakfast/lunch. So I apologize for that.
Gotcha. Well, what have you been?
Jim?
Uh-huh.
What have I been doing? Putting duck stuff away for the last week, getting it dried out, and putting it up.
Making sure it's ready for next year, huh?
Yep. I'm one of those guys that repair things before I put them away. So just rip them out, when the season starts, and you're not making repairs out in the blind on your first couple of hunts.
Yeah.
But hey, I wanted to call in, Jim, and remind everybody that next Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, St. John's Water Management District is having a, what do they call it here? A Indian River Lagoon and Upper St. John's River Basin Plan for 2026. They've never had a meeting like this before.
Interesting.
So,
are they just showcasing what they're planning to do, or is there going to be some Q&A, or do you know what the format is?
They're both. They're going to go over the plan, take public comment, and then between February 25th and March 18th, they'll be taking comments on the web.
Well, that's cool. When we had the crew in from St. John's Water Management District earlier last year, one of the things that I was really impressed with that they're trying to do is they're trying to obviously manage water, and with less area to be able to manage because of all of the growth, or I should say with more water they're having to manage because of all the growth and all of the runoff from that growth, especially the Vieira, West Melbourne area, Palm Bay area, growing like wildfire. They're losing a lot of ground that would naturally seep the rainwater back into the ground and into the earth. They're having to now manage more water than ever, and some of the things that they were telling us, as far as redirecting waters from the Indian River Lagoon system back into the St. Johns River, holding them in different containment areas. I was really impressed with what they are trying to do, because they have gotten a bad I would just say a bad reputation over the years for doing it the easiest, cheapest way. And it didn't really matter what the consequences were in some cases. And now it seems like they're actively trying to manage those waters for the best possible use, and try and coincide with the growth that's going on in this county.
Well, you'll notice that in the newer HOA developments, especially off the Heritage Parkway down in Palm Bay, they are making huge ponds because the saltwater seepage underneath I-95. So, they're trying to keep it naturally sweeps, because that's a historical sand ridge from 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's always done a good job of holding the salt water out of the marsh. Well, with all the building and the concrete and everything, like you said, the aquifer doesn't have a chance to fully come back to historic levels.
Yeah, fully recharge.
Yeah, and we see that, especially in the marsh, where we had, I think it was 14 inches of rain before the season started in one
in one dumping, yeah.
And we got to hunt a lot of the historical areas off the marsh for the first break, the first 9 days. And then by the time second phase opened up a week later, a lot of those spots were dry.
Right.
And that's because the aquifer just cannot keep up with what's going on.
Gotcha. So real quick, because we're up against a break, recap next Thursday from what time to what time? St. John's Water Management District is going to be holding a public forum on the Upper Indian River Lagoon and the Upper St. John's River Basin. So that basically, Upper Indian River basically is from Sebastian north to Scottsmore. And then
even further than that, because the gal that takes is in charge of that area goes all the way up to JB's. So
so up into the Mosquito Lagoon, and then also from Headwaters area, Stick Marsh area, Satori Marsh, all of that going northward up in the St. Johns River Basin as well.
Correct. So it's going to be interesting with what just happened with the Blue Origin meeting last week. I wasn't able to attend that one, but I know you guys were there. So
yes,
I'm curious to see what St. John's permitting process is, or what they think about it, because like they tell us all the time, they manage water, they don't manage wildlife.
Right.
So,
all right, brother. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you this afternoon.
okay, man. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Thank you so much. Hey, gang, we're a little behind on our last break of the day, but when we come back, Captain Mike will have the wrap up and a whole lot more. We got some stuff to talk about as well for the kids today. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages.
StarTron enzyme fuel treatment makes all engines run stronger, smoother, and helps them get better fuel economy. The enzymes in StarTron improve the quality of all fuels so engines start easier, even if they haven't been run for several months. Don't just stabilize your fuel, tune it with StarTron. StarTron enzyme fuel treatment can also be used in 2- and 4-stroke engines, trucks, lawnmowers, generators, motorcycles, four-wheelers, basically anything that runs on gas. You can also get StarTron diesel fuel treatment for your truck, boat, or tractor, or construction equipment. If you want to fuel more power, tune your fuel with StarTron. Is your home under attack from pests or termites? Or have furry wildlife made themselves way too comfortable in your attic? At Integrity Pest Management, they specialize in getting rid of pests, termites, and wildlife safely and effectively. With years of experience and commitment to integrity, they protect your home from unwanted invaders using eco-friendly and efficient solutions. Don't wait for the damage to pile up. Call Integrity Pest Management today for a free inspection and let them restore peace and security to your home. Call 321-637-1199 or visit them at integritypestmanagement.com. Integrity Pest Management, where your home safety and your peace of mind are their top priority.
Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Strike Zone down in Melbourne. Make sure that you stop in a Strike Zone. Get all the cool gear that you guys and gals know that you're going to need when you get out on the water. And want to say good morning to all of you guys and gals out there on the Facebook feed. Really appreciate you tuning in and chiming in whenever you get a chance to do that. One last thing. John Durkee from the Florida Sport Fishing Association was trying to call in, but we didn't have enough time to get to him because we had the other caller on the line. Want to let you know real quick, the Florida Sport Fishing Association free kids fishing clinic is going on today at Jetty Park. Starts right around 9 o'clock. They're going to have free rods and reels for the kids. It's going to go till at least noon. They got a free lunch as well out there at Jetty Park, so it's free entry. Bring the kids and get on out there and go have some fun with the Florida Sport Fishing Association. They put on a really, really good presentation. They talk about knots. They talk about different types of rigs. They talk about conservation, proper practices, or catch and release. That club, the Florida Sport Fishing Association Club, just does an incredible job with this particular event, with all their events, but with this particular event, the kids fishing clinic that's going on at Jetty Park out at Port Canaveral today. So if you're not doing anything, throw the kids in the car and get rolling. Get them out there and do a little fishing this morning because it's going to be a pretty day to be outside. That's for daggum sure. And who doesn't like a free lunch,
Yeah, definitely. Get them off the video games. Get them off the couch.
Exactly.
Get them our next round of anglers out in the world for sure.
Well, you've got kids, Mike. Your brother John. You guys are actively involved in your kids' lives and getting them out in the outdoors. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but what are some of the fun things that you guys do, just other than fishing? Just out, but not like baseball, football. Not like team sports, but just as a family, what are some of the things that you guys like?
We're pretty much empty nesters now, but what John still got a few little ones running around. But we did a lot of surfing. Anything on the water. Really, I tell everybody, in it, on it, or under it, as far as water goes. So a lot of skiing behind the boats, tubing, kneeboarding back in the day, and then even my son today, he would rather kneeboard behind the boat than wake surf or foil board or any of that stuff. So he still likes to get on there, and bought him a kneeboard for Christmas. Nobody wants a kneeboard for Christmas. They want an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Right.
Got him a nice kneeboard, get him out in the water, out in nature, doing anything but sitting on the couch.
That's
cool.
Nice.
John does a lot of mountain biking with his kids down the street. There's a nice mountain bike trail by Deleon Springs State Park. So they'll go out and do stuff. Yeah, there's a whole mountain bike trail out there.
I didn't know that.
Chuck Lennon Park. Yep.
By Deleon Springs, huh?
Yep. Not 2 minutes from the entrance to the state park. There's a nice mountain bike trail.
What does that cost to go
It's
on?
free.
Really?
Go to Chuck Lennon Park, and there's different trails. They've got like a green, I can't remember the trail colors, but there's like a novice, a medium, and then like an expert level that has some like jumps and drops offs and stuff, like advanced mountain bike stuff.
That sounds cool.
John's kids want to go to the advanced. John wants to do the advanced, but as you get older, the advanced hurts more when you get home.
I was going to say, your brain's telling you, go for the Black Diamond run on the ski slope, and your body's telling you, nope, you need the bunny trail.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. So he's
isn't that the truth? So I broke my back a few years ago, and I still go to physical therapy, pretty regularly to work the kinks out, get stretched, fascial stretching, and some massage to help manage that. I'm getting worked on Thursday night, and I'm sitting there going, good grief, my leg is on fire. And the girl that's doing my massage, she's like working from my hip down towards my knee. And she's like, oh, what happened here? She goes, I hit a brick wall. And I'm like, yeah, tense. It's on fire right now. I don't know what's going on. I was like, the only thing I can figure is playing with the dogs or something in the yard and you bumped into something, or working around the boat and you bumped. I don't even know. But it was a knot. Yep. It was like a sweet potato in there or something, And she's like, yeah, this is going to take more than a minute or two to get this one worked out. And she rubbed and scratched she'll get her elbow in there and do all that kind of. It is, you're about to cry. Right. It's like, it's that bad. But then when she gets done and works that knot out, you're like, oh my goodness, I can move again. Right. And she said, when she got done, she's like, whatever you did, don't do that anymore. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't need that in my life. Yeah,
being younger, you think about when you do stuff, you're like, oh, this is going to be fine, Now you're like, do I want to even move that direction because this is going to hurt, just do I want reaching into the boat to grab something. Do I want to
put that dish in the dishwasher, not maybe throw my back out in the process, I'm not that bad yet, but good grief, it's funny, how your brain thinks one thing and your body's telling you, no, time is good. It's timing out, Let's put a check on that. Let's just stop for a second. Well, buddy, we got a couple of minutes left. Obviously, spring break's coming up, Speed Week, Bike Week, all that kind of stuff is coming up. Have you got any time in your schedule, or are you pretty well booked up
I've got a few days left in March and April. February is pretty booked out between what I'm doing at the fire station. In the off season, it's colder. We do a lot of outdoor training at my other full-time job. So right. I'm pretty booked through February, but towards March, and then Jeep Beach, I got a couple of clients coming in from Jeep Beach, which is going to be in April, big Jeep event up in Daytona. So then all the spring breakers come in from out of town, so it should be getting pretty busy come spring. Spring to September, it's usually really, really busy.
Yeah, it's a good time. Everybody wants to be out on the water.
No, absolutely. It's the Sunshine State.
Absolutely. So how does somebody get a hold of Captain Mike? What's the easiest way to, do you have an online booking service?
Yeah, you can go to my website, it's firelinecharters.com, or they can give me a call at 386-837-3827, and then Facebook and Instagram is just Fireline Charters. You can see all of my recent catches. You can see the pictures of usually past clients, past trips. You can usually see what fish is biting in our area. I'm usually pretty active on it when I post. So
that's awesome. So anything from inshore to offshore, you've got it covered up in the Ponce Inlet area.
Absolutely.
Once again, guys and gals, we appreciate you guys and gals listening in today. Obviously, all of the captains that we have on this show are top tier guys that you're going to want to try and get a chance to get out and fish with. Mike, is an expert bottom fisherman, and so if that's something that you guys and gals are looking to do, obviously, try and give Mike a call. But right now we've got snapper, we've got grouper opens up in May, right? So that's going to be good. Cobia between now and then. In the inshore, the big sheephead. What about some? Is there any other species in there that you've been targeting?
We should be targeting flounder here shortly.
Should be showing up as well.
Should be showing up as well.
So got two good eating species.
Delicious.
Yeah, sheephead and two of the best actually. Sheephead and flounder inshore. Two of the better ones. Well, buddy, I really, really appreciate you coming in today. It's been a blast.
Absolutely.
And hopefully the guys and gals out there learned a little something today, and we'll give you a call and get out on the boat with you. Guys and gals, obviously, going to be working on some more show music and kind of getting that tightened up a little bit. Hopefully, you like the new stuff a little bit better, and it's not copyrighted, so I don't get Facebook dinged anymore, and so that's the main thing. They were constantly flagging my show for copyrighted music. But until next week, do exactly what Captain Mike and I are going to do. Get out there and catch yourselves a member.